Welcome to University of the West, a private, non-profit Buddhist-affiliated university located on 11 beautiful acres of hillside outside of Los Angeles, California. University of the West was founded upon the values of character, compassion, and community.
Working for clubs, student clubs, and we do have quite a number of student clubs in this university. And here today we are joining together 3 student clubs to sponsor this event. Venerable Sugatananda at U West is the flyer I think everyone is familiar with. And the topic today by Venerable Sugatananda is mistake management, how to manage situations once mistakes are committed, dealing with guilt, confidence, and other challenges. I think it's a very interesting topic. Hopefully people will come up later on once their classes are over by 5, and I hope there will be more clarity. And today we have this particular day Venerable Sugatananda. He is from India. And Venerable Sugatananda's first visit to US has been very much, I think, overwhelmed with a lot of activities. He's been very hectic, I think, during the last few weeks, he said. And Venerable Sugatananda, I wanted to introduce him first. He was born in Calcutta in a typical Indian family. After his schooling, he went on to study law and completed his master's LLB in National Law University. He was well established at a legal company in New Delhi till the spiritual call came from within. After research, he came in contact with Buddhism and started studying Buddhism. As his interest and dedication became deeper and deeper, he decided to renounce worldly life and took to monkhood at Mahabodhi Monastery in Bangalore. He underwent 3 years intensive Buddhist training under the tutorship of a great Buddhist scholar of modern times, most venerable late Dr. Acharya Buddha Rakita in Vinaya Sutta, Abhidhamma and Abhidhamma. He edited and published books written by the late Venerable Acharya, and he became editor of monthly Buddhist magazine Dharma, which he continues to edit at present. Later he became chairman of Mahabodhi Center for Theravada Buddhist Studies, which is the only institution in India offering diploma, BA and MA degree courses in Theravada Buddhism. He has given several public talks and conducted meditation programs both for people from India and the West. He is running special weekend classes on Abhidhamma, Buddhist ethical psychology. So here we are today, Venerable Sugatananda from India. We warmly welcome him with our palms together. Everyone please keep your palms together and say Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu as a traditional Buddhist reception to the Venerable Hero. This event is jointly sponsored by U.S. Pali Society, Buddhist Chaplaincy Club, and also Buddha West Club. So with all those members, we will welcome the Bhante to conduct this special lecture today. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I hope I'm audible to all of you. If you have problem in hearing, then you can let me know. Today's topic is managing our mistakes. It's quite reason we make mistake is not something that we try to explore much. What I need to say is, we do not often go deep inside our mind and see what caused the mistake. We are not spending enough time with our own mind. And if we do not know the mind, we do not know how things happen, why things happen, why mistakes happen, and how to overcome those mistakes. Because all those mistakes that we do or that we commit are necessarily product of our mind. It does not come from outside, it comes from inside. So if they come from inside, then the solution should ideally be inside rather than outside. Solution should ideally be in the mind itself. Now, if you see how we generally behave in our day-to-day life, many times, or most of the times rather, we say, when we come across any particular situation, we say, I like this or I do not like this. So basically, our two primary reactions are liking and disliking, in big way or in small way. Maybe with regard to the small things, maybe with regard to the big things. And when we are engaged in constant liking and disliking, what we miss is an opportunity to stay in the middle to develop our own wisdom. When we are engaged too much, saying mentally all the time that I like this or I don't like this, then mind cannot be engaged in something more beneficial. What I mean is, mind at that time cannot be engaged in deeper exploration of itself. Mind cannot be engaged in generation of wisdom within us. Because mind is always swinging between the liking and disliking. With regard to each and every phenomena that we experience, we are so accustomed to say, if not physically, at least mentally, that we like this and I like this and I do not like this. So there is always liking in one part and then there is disliking in another. But, and as a consequence, we are unable to understand why this liking and disliking comes, what it does to us, what benefit or harmful consequence it produces. We are unable to understand because we do not pay attention to it. We say, I like this, next moment we say, I don't like this. Again we say, we like this, and I say, I don't like this. So we are always doing this. So in the process, what this liking and disliking is doing to our mind, how much of damage it is causing to our mind moment to moment, we are not paying enough attention. And if we are not paying enough attention and we keep on repeating this habit pattern for a long time, then it becomes like our second nature, which it has almost become. And then we are so instinctive that most of our behavior is just nothing but instinct, basic instinct of talking, eating, standing, sitting, but not understanding what lies behind those instincts. Are they good or are they not good? Not understanding. So mind should be engaged to explore itself, to see itself from time to time. Because when mind sees itself, then mind understands certain fundamental things, small but fundamental things about ourselves. That we have the tendency to react in certain ways. We all have different tendencies. We all have different characteristics. So what is my tendency to react in a given situation? If we are observing ourselves, our mental behavior and our physical behavior, then we can understand. At this time, my mind will react in a way, or is likely to react in. So we develop this little bit of wisdom about ourselves. If the situation is like this, I will react like. Then we go deeper and see, when I react like this, it produces some kind of a conflict, some kind of a mistake, some kind of a dissatisfaction when we react like this. So we can understand that these reactions, these instinctive reactions of ours, are not really leading us to manage our mistakes better, basically. Not really helping us to understand our mistakes better, because we are just going on repeating those things again and again over the period of time. So if we could just reverse this process of instinctive process of mind, and if we could just pause it a little, observe our mind and try to see what happens inside, how our negative qualities come up, how they influence our decisions, how greed, for example, comes up, how hatred, for example, comes up, how they influence our decisions, how those decisions that we take based on these negative qualities influence our life in a negative way. This simple truth about our life is mostly hidden from us because we do not pay enough attention to our own most of the time. But if we could just stop and look into our mind and try to see what is happening in me, what is the state of mind that I am having at this time, good or bad, what are the thoughts that I am producing now, are these good ones, are these going to help me out, are these going to make my life better, are these thoughts going to make my life worse, then we can see by ourselves that a lot of these thoughts that we are generating from time to time are not really helpful for us in the long run, not really going to do us much of benefit. Actually, they might end up causing a lot of damage in the long run to our behavior, to our life itself. For example, when people start, like drug addiction, when people start taking drugs, they may not be taking on large dosage. They may be taking a small amount because his friend tells him, his classmates tells him, so he takes. Again, somebody else comes and tells, okay, you take one more. So it may be starting on a smaller scale, but once there is repetition of that pattern, which is not good, then it goes to a larger scale, and then he ends up being an addict, drug addict, ends up being in prison. I have been to quite a few prisons here in USA. Nearly four prisons in the Colorado, one here in LA, the juvenile hall, and a lot of these people who have landed up in prisons have landed up because of drug addiction and drug-related problems. They committed crimes. But when it started on a small scale. It didn't start like, they didn't become a drug addict in a single day. One fine morning, they did not wake up and then became a drug addict. It is because they repeated certain patterns, and they were not even looking into their mind thinking, if I have seen a lot of people getting addicted, I have seen a lot of people landing up in jail, in prison. What if that happens to me if I continue this? That little bit of observation, objective observation of the mind never happened for that person. Because he just instinctively took it again, till it became too late, until he landed up in prison. So our mistakes many times start a very small level, on a very minuscule proportions. It's not that we always commit big mistakes. Maybe many times we are committing those small mistakes. But we are not paying attention to ourselves. We are not really trying to figure out our mistake when it is starting to grow. And then after 5 years or 10 years of repeating those small mistakes, then it becomes a big mistake. So one who becomes a criminal may not be a criminal overnight. So he has criminal tendencies, some amount of criminal tendencies. But if he was careful about himself, knowing I have these tendencies which are negative, if I do not try to control them, if I do not do something about them now, in future I have to be in trouble, I have to be in difficulty. If there was, or probably he doesn't know and there was nobody to tell him also in many cases. And then those small tendencies grow up, and then he becomes a big criminal. And then it becomes a big mistake. So the thing is, most of our mistakes grow over a period of time because we are not mindful enough to spot them, to know them when they are at a very low level, at a very small level. We are not mindful enough to spot them, figure them out, and try to take corrective measures when they are. And then when they become big, then most of the cases it is too late. Then we cannot do much about it. It becomes habit, even if we sometimes do not want, we commit those mistakes, even big ones. And then it always leads to difficult situations, as you all know. So being careful about our own behaviors, our own mind, observing our mind objectively, time to time, keeping a check on it, keeping a tab on it, to know what is happening inside, is the first concrete step for prevention of mistakes. Because mistakes necessarily come from inside, they do not come from outside. So if they come from outside, in most of the cases, we can stop them before they end up being too big and too dangerous to handle for us. We can look into our mind and see if we have negative qualities, if we have negative tendencies within us, and if we have whatever these negative tendencies that we have, and if we try to remove them when they are small, when they are easy to handle, then we can take care of a lot of mistakes. We can ensure a lot of mistakes do not happen in first. Or even if they happen once or twice, they are not repeated over a period of time. But the problem is, in most of the cases, as I said earlier, we are engaged in liking and disliking. We are too much into liking and disliking of our world around us. So in the morning we get up, we see sunshine, we probably say, okay, I like it. If we see too much of sunshine, we'll say, no, this is too hot, I don't like it. Then if we see cloudy, we'll say, I like it, or I don't like it. So in various ways, it's not only with regard to the weather, it's with regard to how we eat, what we wear, what we say, what we don't say. With regard to everything, there is liking and disliking involved. A huge amount of liking and disliking. And then when we become too engaged in these, then the mindful observation of what is happening inside is that mindful observation mostly becomes secondary, or sometimes even, or most of the times even forgotten. That is not practiced by us. And then in that case, we do not have the opportunity to rectify ourselves. And when I say rectifying ourselves, you must always remember that the greatest corrective measure that we can take has to come from within. It cannot come from outside. Other people can at the most suggest things to us, tell certain things to us, give us the ideas, give us the techniques. They cannot do anything for us. We still have to do what is to be done inside our mind. That thing has to be done by us. Other people cannot do it for us. Nobody can do it. So if nobody can do it for us, then it is all the more necessary for us to understand that I have to take certain steps which are essential for my own betterment, for my own development. If I do not take these steps, these corrective measures for myself, nobody else will do it for me. This is one self-acknowledgement. And one more self-acknowledgement is that comes with mindful observation is acknowledgement of the problems that we have inside, acknowledgement of the negative qualities that we have inside. We should be able to acknowledge our negative qualities. There is no point trying to cover them up and saying, no, I am good, I am fine. It does not help. If I have something bad in mind, if I have anger in mind, hatred in mind, then we should be ready to say, I have something negative. We should be ready to accept. Because many times I see people, they commit mistakes and then later on say, no, everything is fine with me, nothing is wrong. With that kind of attitude, we do not get any. We cannot get any. Because if we do not acknowledge our mistakes, we do not improve. We do not rectify them. We do not correct them. This is a real life incident in the United States itself. In somewhere in either Minnesota or Massachusetts, maybe in Massachusetts, most probably, or maybe Minnesota, somewhere in the north. There, in a prison, there was a meditation course, a 10-day meditation course that happened. And a lot of these prison inmates participated in the meditation course, Vipassana meditation, 10 days. And then after the meditation was over, a lot of these prison inmates came and said to their teacher that all these years we kept on blaming the world for sending us to prison. But now we understand that the fact that we landed up in prison was primarily because of wrong actions on our part. We are able to acknowledge this fact, which we always try to deny. Nobody told them to do it. They understood it through their own meditation, that they did something wrong, which caused them to land up in prison. But it's a good step. It's a good step because then if we acknowledge, here is something wrong that I did. I should not have done this. This was not the right thing to do. Then if we can make a beginning like this, then we will be more careful thinking, I did something wrong in the past. I should be careful not to repeat it. At least I should try not to repeat it. But if we just try to live in denial, saying, I have not done it. I am not responsible for whatever happened to me. Everybody else is responsible for my miseries, my sufferings, my plight. If we continue to do like this, then we do not have much of a chance to improve our internal. So self-acknowledgement of our own problems is a very important step. We can all do that. We can all look inside our mind and we can all see what are the positive qualities, what are the negative qualities, and we can all acknowledge our negative qualities. We can also acknowledge our positive qualities. When we acknowledge our negative qualities, then we can tell, yes, these are the negative things that I have. I have to do something about them. I have to take care of them. If I'm not taking care of them, if I'm just keeping them as it is, they are going to be big trouble at some point in time, today or tomorrow. And when I'm acknowledging my positive qualities, I know these are the good things that I have. If I develop them correctly, they will take me to they will make my mind, and they will not only make my mind better, make my life better in the long run, if I'm developing the right qualities, the positive things. So that in both ways, acknowledging the positive and the negative helps us to know and to make the right beginning. But if we do not acknowledge, which in many cases people just try to blame others all the time for their unhappiness, for their suffering, for their plight, then we do not get to progress. Simple as that. And if we have to know our positive and negative qualities, again, as I said earlier, we need to be looking into our mind again and again. Because other people cannot tell us what are the hidden positive and negative qualities. They cannot. We can know our mind better than other people can. And even if other people knows our mind, it is of no great use to us because they still cannot change our mind. We only can change our mind. So it is all the more necessary for us to be looking into our own mind time and time again to know what are the things that I possess, what are the positive things that I possess, what are the negative things that I possess. And then try trying to reduce the bad qualities. Because when we make mistake, means, for example, we are writing an exam and then we write something wrong. Why do we write something wrong? Because we do not pay attention to what we are writing. Or while studying, we do not study properly. We are not mindful enough in our study. So which means one simple discovery about ourselves, I am not mindful while studying. One small self-discovery that we all can make. I am not mindful. So if we know I am not mindful, I am not able to write my exams properly. If I am not mindful, I am not able to do my job properly. Simple. Because I am not paying attention. My mind is too much engaged in something else. Which means my mind generally tends to be restless. Another small self-discovery. My mind is restless. If my mind is restless, I cannot do this. But I have to do these things anyways. So therefore, I should do something to make my mind peaceful instead of keeping it restless. What people do, they are restless and they do not take any step to make themselves peaceful. They think they have a lot of energy. So this restless nature is a wonderful thing. Majority of the time people will say, oh, he has so much of energy, he's always doing something. Doing something need not be doing something great. You never know, because mind is playing its own tricks all the time. So somebody may be keeping oneself busy all the time does not mean necessarily he is keeping busy in the right way. He is keeping busy his mind in the right direction. It need not be. It can many times be keeping busy in the wrong way. And that is far more dangerous than not keeping busy. If the mind tries to tell you you have to do a lot of bad things, it is better to sit quiet, not to do it, because none of those bad things are going to get you anything good in return. It is better to let go of that restless energy, and then acting upon it, knowing this is not going to be profitable for me. I'm just making myself tired, but I'm not using it in the right way. And again, to do that, we have to look into our nature, our behavior, our mind, to see. People say I'm always busy. People say I'm always doing something. Maybe some people are praising me. He's so busy, he's so engaged. Buddha said, "Appakicho, do little when possible." It is wonderful to do little when possible. Because when you do little, then you have the chance to look into your mind. So once in a while, at some point of time during the day, I was telling these prisoners, they said it is difficult for them to do meditation. I told them, okay, it may be difficult for you to do meditation. At some point of the time during the day, maybe 10 minutes, what you can do is just go away from all other people and sit in one corner, all by yourself. Do not talk to your friends, other people. You don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to read anything. You don't have to do anything. Just sit in one place, all by yourself. And then, initially they were reluctant to acknowledge. They said, no, how is it possible? Why should I sit alone? But then some of them said, yes, maybe when I am sitting alone, my mind is happy. But since we have developed this bad habit of busy all the time, we do not understand or appreciate the value of not being busy, which is far more better than anything. We love to be busy. People praise us when we are busy. We are doing something, but as I said, doing something does not mean doing something good all the time. Because mind, we are not careful at that. When you are engaged too much, we are not careful of our own mind. And when we are not careful of our own mind, we do not know what is going on inside. Maybe a lot of bad things going on. And they are not coming to the surface because we are busy. We are not able to understand. So one has to do one's work. One has to do one's study or work or whatever it is. One has to do. That's part of the life. But still, one should try at least one part of the day to keep time for one's own mind. To keep time for oneself. Oneself means one's own mind. To be observing the mind. To know the mind. What is happening there. Because when we do that, we can discover all these small things. We can discover our positive quality. We can discover our negative quality. We can discover the consequence of those positive and negative qualities. And we can also start taking steps to cut down on the negative qualities when they are very small, when they are just about to sprout, before they become too big and too dangerous for us to handle. Because all of these mistakes are primarily because of our negative qualities, negative emotions, basically negative mental qualities that we have. Whether it is lack of mindfulness, whether it is excessive greed, whether it is too much of hatred, whatever it is. So these are negative qualities. And then they don't grow in a single day, they grow over a period of time. But when they start growing, we can do something about them. We can just take care of them and say, these are the things which are dangerous. These are the things, if I just let them be, let them grow, someday they are going to create big problems. Like those people who landed up in prison, those drugs, because of their drug addiction. Their drug addiction did not start until it happened over a long period of time. They did not become a criminal because of drug addiction on one single day. Nobody becomes suddenly bad or suddenly good. It's always a gradual process of looking into oneself, rectifying oneself, correcting oneself, improving oneself over a period of time. It's always a gradual process. It is never sudden. One fine day I open my eyes and I see, oh, all the bad things are gone. That doesn't happen. It's not supposed to happen. One has to take them out little by little. But if we are not careful about ourselves, if we are not giving time to our own mind, if we are not being mindful at all, then we are not able to figure out what are the potential mistakes that we are always carrying. We are carrying a lot of potential mistakes. And when the situation comes up, we commit it. Sometimes people say, so-and-so is very kind person, doesn't get it. There is this very nice little story I will tell you. In Buddha's time, so happened. There was one maid in a house, and her mistress, the lady of the house, was praised by the neighbors all the time, saying, oh, this is a wonderful lady. She never shouts at anybody. She never gets angry at anyone. She's always nice to people. Then her maid one day said, okay, why do I not test my mistress? Why do I not test the lady? So this maid was supposed to wake up in the morning, but she did not. She just kept on lying on her bed even when the sun was up. And then this lady of the house, she became furious. She started abusing this maid. Useless woman, you haven't woken up, even the sun has gone up, and it's already daytime, and who will do the household work and all this. And then she still didn't wake up. She just wanted to see how much angry she gets. And then she became so angry that she actually wanted to beat up the maid with a stick. So she just started chasing the maid. And then the neighbors noticed and said, oh, we always thought this lady was always very peaceful, but now she is chasing her maid with a stick, which means she is not. And there is a Dhammapada verse which is connected to this story, connected to this incident. And the Buddha, I think, later said a verse like, I don't remember which verse, there is a verse in Dhammapada. So the thing is, some of the times we think we are too good. We will not make the mistake. Why? Because we are not looking. We have the anger, we have the negativities, just that the situation hasn't come. And since the situation hasn't come, we don't really know that we possess these bad qualities. But when the situation comes, they may just come to the surface level and we may just act through them. And we will always do this again and again, commit these mistakes again and again, if we do not bother to look within us, trying to find out what is happening, what good thing is happening, what bad thing is happening, what is happening with you, what is happening. Because then we will never know that we always had these qualities. We will never know we always possess these negative qualities that are going to be troublesome for us. Because we never paid attention to ourselves. Other people cannot pay attention to your own mind. Make no mistake about it. You only have to necessarily pay attention to your mind. Other people can. Nobody can. Even if they want to, they cannot. They don't know your mind. I don't know your mind. You don't know my mind. So we only have to do something about our own mind. And if we are not doing something about our own mind, then we will never know what are the potential mistakes that we have. What are the actual mistakes that we committed, still did not learn from that. We will never know. And if we do not know, we do not have any chance of managing or learning from those mistakes. We do not have any chance of improving our life, coming out of those mistakes. We do not. Other people can at the most say, you commit this mistake again doesn't like me. See, most of the times we have that attitude. And then we don't learn. So people don't learn in their childhood. I have seen a lot of such people. They don't learn when they are growing up, and they don't learn when they are middle-aged. And when they are old, they repent their mistakes saying, oh, I have done so many bad things, when it is too late. And one cannot do it. And it's anyways, that's a very dangerous situation if you have to repent your mistakes and saying, oh, my life is a mess. My life had always been a mess when you are old. Because you don't even have the opportunity to improve on it at that time. We can do it before it becomes too late for us. We can make that effort by being mindful, by looking into our mind, by doing a little meditation every day, by trying to keep not busy at least some part of the day. Maybe starting with maybe 10 minutes, being not busy. Sometimes, even when I have a lot of work, I don't do anything. Simply do not do anything. Sometimes people have asked, a lot of people, lay people want to ask, can I come and so day? I have certain questions. He said, I say, no. He said, are you busy at that time? I said, no, I'm not busy. That is my time of doing nothing. And I'm not giving that time to you. Thanks, but I will not meet you at that time. Because it's good to be not busy. There is a Pali word called apakit that Buddha refers. One who seeks his one's own welfare, then Buddha goes on saying he should be humble, he should be trying to rectify his mistake, he should be doing little. One who seeks his own welfare, thus he should be doing little. Because doing too much need not be doing too good. We have this habit, or we have this passion of doing too many things, and in the name of doing too many things, we end up in time not engaging ourselves in the right direction, because we are just too busy to look at it. And that is how we can start rectification process within ourselves, start with. And then of course, more we are mindful, more we are careful, looking into ourselves, developing the wisdom, then we are less likely to make mistakes, because we already know what is what, how it is not, what is good, what is. But then, the beginning point is always observation and being mindful about oneself. That is always the beginning of what you call it, improving from our mistake, learning from our mistake, and coming out of